Good morning. I have come with one new module, Computation of Rent-Free Accommodation and Concessional Rental Accommodation. So here you have to remember that. See, when I explained perquisites in module 6.8, I told you I am coming with a new module for computation of rent-free accommodation and concessional rental accommodation. So this is one component of salary computation. 6.1 salary computation, we have learned the basic features of salary. What are the features of salary? What is the definition of salary? What is included in salary? 6.2 I explained provident fund. 6.3 computation of gratuity. 6.4 pension. 6.5 computation of leave salary. 6.6 allowances. 6.7 house rent allowance. 6.8 perquisites theory. And 6.9 I have come with this explanation, computation of rent-free accommodation and concessional rental accommodation. So here you have to remember that this is very, very important. Either as a theory problem, theory question, or for the computation of problem also. See, theory computation also you have to learn that. I have explained it in a very simple format, so you will not forget. And I will tell you where all you have to stress that, where all adjustments you have to remember. Then when you are doing salary full problem also, you can expect questions on RFA and CRA. So this is the importance of this component or this module. This you have to listen carefully, and it's not difficult. Listen to the explanation carefully, write the questions in your notebook, do the problem, solve the problems. If you are making any mistake, if your answer is not matching with the answer what I am giving in the module, then you go back to the video again, listen to the explanation, again you correct yourself. This is trial and error method, and your hard work is going to pay for that. You are going to get good marks if you work hard. And in the lockdown period, you have enough time at disposal. So this, you have to try your luck, and I'm wishing you all the best for learning this module. This is a very, very important module. Gratuity, pension, leave encashment, HRA computation, RFA computation or CRA computation, all these are very, very important. So this I am going to explain with the help of PowerPoint presentation. So what I am going to do, general explanation I am going to give. General explanation is employees are divided into two categories. So one is government employee and second one is non-government employee. So government employees you have to remember state government and central government employees. So they are considered as the government employees. See, pension and all we have seen the different categories are there. Whereas when you are coming to other divisions, it's only government, meaning it's only state government and central government. So here you have to remember RFA computation, employees are divided into two categories. One is government and second one is non-government. Now, place where rent-free accommodation is provided. So this is very, very important. The population of the city will be given in the question. So that will be the base for computation. So based on the population as per census 2011. Census 2011 values are only available with us now. So census 2011 values based on the population of the city. Cities are divided into A, B and C. That I will tell you how we are going to do that. It is given in the explanation. So divided into three categories. Cities are divided into three categories. So that is city A, city B, city C. So that component will be, calculation will be different for each cities. So depending upon their population as per census of 2011 as follows. So now continuing with that. Okay, city A, all cities and towns having population exceeding 25 lakhs. So that is first category, city A, if the population in the city is exceeding 25 lakhs. Now how you know that it's exceeding 25 lakhs or not? It will be given in the question. Now city B, all cities and towns having population exceeding 10 lakhs but not exceeding 25 lakhs. So here if it given an example, computation of rent-free accommodation for a person Mr. A. If he is working in Bangalore, it will be given in the question. He is living in Bangalore. What is the population of the Bangalore city as per 2011 census? That is how you distinguish between city A, city B and city C. So all other cities and towns having population of 10 lakhs or less than 10 lakhs. So first one is exceeding 25 lakhs. Next is 10 to 25 lakhs. Next is 10 or less than 10. So that is First one is 25, exceeding 25 lakhs. Second one is exceeding 10 lakhs but less than 25 lakhs. Third category is 10 or less than 10 lakhs population. So this is important. This classification is important. City A, City B and City C. Now, what is salary for computation of RFA or CRA? Concessional Rental Accommodation. Here you have to remember, I'll always advise my students, if you have a rent-free accommodation or concessional rental accommodation in the computation, that should be the last component of calculation for salary. The reason is all the taxable items, any allowances, any perquisites, anything is included for the computation of salary of RFA or CRA. So that is the important thing you have to remember. So the RFA computation, see if HRA is there, HRA will calculate first. Gratuity we will calculate, leave encashment we will calculate, pension we will calculate, and the last component will be the RFA. So all allowances we will give, all taxable perquisites will give, last value we will take as salary for computation of RFA, and from there we will calculate the value of RFA or CRA. So meaning of salary, meaning salary for the computation of RFA includes basic pay or wages. Basic pay and wages I explained. See, wages, casual workers are getting wages. Salary, when an employer-employee relationship written agreement is there, they are getting the salary. Now, dearness pay or dearness allowance, if it enters into service benefits, I have already explained. Instead of this, we can give it as within bracket UTE under the terms of employment. Any commission received, any bonus received, any fees received. Then value of all taxable allowances. We have learned allowances and I explained that module how we are treating allowances. Now any other monetary payment which is chargeable to tax. That meaning any perquisites. Next one is leave encashment. So this also included. Leave encashment I told you, while in service if you are getting leave encashment it will be completely taxable. So if leave encashment is pertaining to the leave earned during the previous year in which rent-free house is provided to the employee, then that leave encashment also will be considered for computation of salary for RFA or CRA. Now, classification of computation. So, RFA computation is divided into 4 categories. One is RFA. RFA is rent-free accommodation unfurnished. You know the difference between furnished accommodation and unfurnished accommodation. When you can see the advertisements, when you are looking for a house for rent, you can see that unfurnished. Unfurnished meaning only the building will be there. Furnished meaning everything will be there. Only you can move with your clothes and you can start living there. So that is the difference between unfurnished and furnished. So first classification is RFA is unfurnished. Second is RFA is furnished. Third is value of furnished accommodation in a hotel. That is not included in your syllabus. So I have not included the explanation in this module. When you go to a higher level, CA or ICW and all, this calculation also will be important. Next is value of accommodation provided at concessional rent. That is the CRA. Now, computation is divided into 2. Government employees, if it's RFA, the first classification we are taking, RFA unfurnished. Computation is divided into 2. First one is government employees and non-government employees. You remember the first slide I told you? RFA classification is always into 2 categories. One is government employees and second one is non-government employees. Government employees including state government and central government. So government employee meaning you have to read the question carefully. It will be given in the question. Mr. A working in a government office or in a government department or a government employee. That meaning license fee fixed by the government and it will be given in the question. See, to confuse the students, the examiner will give you extra additional information. All the details they will give. Just because if the student is not thorough with that, they will do the wrong calculation. To confuse the students, because we are testing your knowledge, whether you are thorough with the topic. So we are giving you extra information just to check that whether you know the concept clearly. So government employee meaning you have to remember that it's the license fee fixed by the government and it will be given in the question. Second one is non-government employees meaning we are basing the computation for based on the table. I told you it's divided into 3 cities. City A, City B and City C. See, population of the city is exceeding 25 lakhs. That meaning 15% of salary we will take. How salary we will compute? We have learned that all the perquisites, all allowances, everything will be included. So that I will explain with the help of the problem. So 3 rates you have to remember. If it's for city A, it's 15%. If it's for city B, it's 10%. If it's for city C, it's 7.5%. City A, you know that, where the population is exceeding 25 lakhs. City B is exceeding 10 lakhs but less than 25 lakhs. City C is less 10 or less than 10. So this is the classification of City A, City B and City C. So if the accommodation, this classification is very, very important. You have to read that. First I told you, you have to read the question carefully to check whether he is a government employee or not. Second thing you have to remember, you have to read the question carefully to see that whether the house is owned by the employer or the house is taken on rent by the employer. If the house is taken, if the house is owned by the employer only, these rates will be applicable. That is 15%, 10% and 7.5%. If the accommodation is taken on lease or rent by the employer, this is very, very important. Most of the students will make mistake. So amount of lease paid or payable or 15% of salary, whichever is lower. Whether it's for City A, City B, City C, the last column, third column is the same. So you have to remember, only if you are coming in the second column, that is houses owned by the employer, then only City A it will be 15%, City B it will be 10%, City C it will be 7.5%. You can see the next slide. Exceeding 10 lakhs but not exceeding 25 lakhs, 10% of salary. So this also is important in respect of the period during which accommodation is occupied by the employee. One problem we will do, the employee is getting RFA only for few months. So then we will, whatever the value of RFA we will calculate, in that problem we have taken that 8 months only he got RFA. So we will reduce the value of RFA to 8 months. So this third column is same, that is when the house is not owned by the employer or taken on lease by the employer. So actual rent paid or payable or 15% of salary, whichever is lower will be the calculation. And City C is 7.5% of salary. Always you remember that you have to check carefully whether he is a government employee or non-government employee. City. Then house is owned by employer or not. Then you have to remember that whether he got the RFA or CRA for 12 months, entire year or portion of the year. So that is also very important. These points you have to check carefully for doing the problem. Now furnished RFA meaning compute the value of RFA as per the table. So how we will when I'll explain with the problem. Then always you have to remember furnished meaning cost of furniture, 10 lakhs, 12 lakhs, 15 lakhs, that value will be there in the question. 10% of that value you have to add with your RFA value, whatever you received. So this is 10% of original cost of furniture if furniture is owned by the employer. Imagine we are doing one problem also, one refrigerator is hired by the employer, or it can be anything, dining table hired by the employer, anything. If you are getting a question like that, whatever higher charges you are paid, the employer is paying, that will be added to your RFA value. So I'll do the problems and I'll explain. So furnished RFA meaning 10% of original cost of furnishing will be added. And if there is any higher charges paid by employer, that also will be added to employee's salary, RFA computation. So this you have to remember. Now this is very, very important for 2 marks, gardener's tax treatment for RFA. This most of the students, even if I'll explain as a casual remark, you will not remember that. That is why I have put it as a separate slide. This is important for 2 marks. Please remember that I told you in RFA problem, 2 classifications. House is owned by the employer, house is not owned by the employer. So if house is owned by the employer and gardener is provided along with the house, it is included in the fair rental value of the house and not taxed separately. So in the question, fair rental value, the value of the house is including all the amenities. So the gardener's salary paid by the employer will also be included. That is the first point. House is owned by the employer. Second is, if the house is owned by the employee, that meaning it's not owned by the employer or hired by the employer, full salary of gardener will be taxable. So that is the second point you have to remember. The house is not owned by the employer, but house is owned by the employee. Full salary of the gardener is taxable. Third point is, gardener's salary is taxable for the full month, even if garden is provided for part of the month. See the difference? RFA, if it's not provided for 12 months, if he is getting RFA only for 4 months, we will include only 4 months as value of RFA. Whereas in the case of gardener, you have to see that even the gardener is paid only for 15 days. Gardener is provided only for 15 days. But that full salary for that month will be included for the computation of gardener's salary. So this is important for 2 marks. These 3 points you have to remember. House is owned by the employer, meaning gardener's salary will be included in RFA. You don't have to tax separately. Second is house is owned by the employer or house is hired by the employer or house is owned by the employee. Then gardener's salary is taxable. Then third point is even if the gardener is provided for part of the month, full salary of the gardener will be taxable. So that is the third point. This is important for 2 marks. Now, important point, this is what I have given in the column 3. I have repeated again because this is an important point. This also you can expect for 2 marks question. If the employer has got the house on rent, that meaning employer is not the owner of the house, and given the same to the employee as rent-free accommodation, value of rent-free accommodation to be taxed is 15% of salary or rent paid by the employer, whichever is less, irrespective of the population of the city. Usually when the students are not careful while reading the question. So I told you first thing when you're doing RFA problem, you have to read whether he's a government employee or a not government employee. Second thing is whether house is owned by the employer. Then the population city A, city B, city C will be applicable. If the house is not owned by the employer, the third column in the table. So this is the same for all the cities. We will not see the population of the city. The rent or the lease amount paid by the employer or 15% of salary, whichever will be less. With the problem, I will explain again. Now, value of accommodation provided at concessional rent. Concessional rent meaning, see the same RFA computation for furnished accommodation you have to calculate. Then, if imagine you are getting RFA value as 2 lakhs, taxable RFA value as 2 lakhs. Imagine the employer is deducting 1 lakh for the accommodation provided to the employee. So 2 lakhs minus 1 lakh. 1 lakh only will be the value of the concessional rental accommodation. So in short, I want to tell you that value of RFA you will calculate in as the usual calculation. We have learned how you calculate for furnished accommodation, how you calculate for unfurnished, and third one is concessional rental accommodation. So RFA you will calculate. Now from that, whatever, see concessional rent meaning the employee will be paying a certain amount as a concessional rent. See, imagine the rent of the house is 50,000. Employer will be collecting some 20,000 from the employee. That meaning he is not getting full rent-free accommodation. He is getting a concessional rental accommodation. So that value, whatever is paid by the employee, we will deduct from the computed RFA value. That is the concept of concessional rent accommodation. So concessional rent meaning an employer has given a house to his employee for which he is charging a part of the rent and balance rent is paid by the employee. For which he is charging and the balance rent is paid by the employer. So it's not the employee, the second term is employer. Now thus the employee is enjoying the perquisite. So employee is getting a benefit. If it's 50,000 rent, he is maybe paying only 20,000, but he is enjoying the rent for 50. He is enjoying the house where a rent is 50,000. Now valuation is as follows. See, that is what I told you. First step, we will calculate the value of RFA. Second step is deduct the amount of rent charged by the employer from the employee for that accommodation. I told you 20,000 if the employee is paying, we will deduct from the RFA value. If he is getting for full year, 20 into 12. So 2,40,000 we will deduct. Now, so this is, I put that in if the value is positive, it will be treated as the value of concessional accommodation. See, after deducting the rent paid by the employee, if you are getting a negative value, value of RFA will be nil. If you are getting a positive value, then only value of concessional rental accommodation will be there. With the problem, I will explain again. Now this I have put it in the table format, not table, that statement type. Value of rent-free accommodation as if the accommodation is totally free. RFA computation you have calculated. Less rent paid by employee as charged by the employer. When you subtract this, you will get the value of concessional accommodation. So now we are going to do the problems. So problem 1, Mr. K is working in a central government office at Cochin, Kerala. First thing I told you to remember whether he is a government employee or a non-government employee. That is very important for RFA computation. Here he is a government employee. So central government employee. His salary particulars. Salary 72,000 per month. DA under the terms of employment, meaning it's entering into retirement benefits, 48,000 per month. Hill compensatory allowance, 12,000 per month. Transport allowance, 9,600 per month. He is provided with a rent-free house. Our calculation is for the rent-free house. Now, annual license fee of that house is 7,200. I told you if he's a government employee, annual license fee will be given in the question. All other information is not important for us. We don't have to consider at all. We have to concentrate only on this 7,200 plus cost of furnishing. So he is getting a furnished accommodation, not unfurnished accommodation. He is getting a furnished accommodation. Compute the value of rent-free accommodation. It's not gross salary, only the RFA value they have asked. So here we are not concerned about all other important information. License fee is given in the question 7,200. With that 10% of cost of furnishing we will add. 45,000 is the value of furnishing. 45,000 into 10 by 100 is 4,500. So the value of RFA is equal to 7,200 plus 4,500. It is 11,700. Now coming to the second problem. Mr. A gets a salary of 1,20,000 per month and is provided with a rent-free unfurnished accommodation. First problem was furnished accommodation. This is unfurnished. So we are not adding the cost of furnishing. Now population 20 lakhs as per 2011 census. City A, City B, City C. Now you know which city it will come. See, exceeding 25 lakhs it will come in City A. Exceeding 10 but less than 25 it will come in City B. So 10% of the population. I told you three rates are important. 15%, 10% and 7.5% of salary. So 10% is the value we are going to take. With a fair rental value of 13,000 per month. Why we are giving the fair rental value? Actually, it's not important for this question. If you are not sure, fair rental value we are considering only for government employees. You will start calculating with this. So examination is always to check that whether you are confident with the or you are thorough with the concepts. So here you have to remember that this value has no importance here in our calculation. We have to concentrate on the other information given in the question. He has encashed his leave in the current previous year and got rupees 60,000. When I explained salary for the computation of RFA, I told you if he is enjoying RFA and if he has encashed leave for that period, that also will be added for computation of salary for RFA. So house was provided to him with effect from 1/7/19. He is not getting full 12 months, he is not getting RFA. And now remember his salary is due on the 1st of next month. So July he is getting, that meaning August only we will start counting. August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March. 8 months only he is getting RFA. This is very, very important. When I explained the theory, basic concepts also I told you. You have to remember that. You have to see that whether he is getting for the full year or part of the year. So he is getting only for 8 months. Because his salary is due on the 1st of next month. So July 1st he is getting, meaning August 1st onwards only we will calculate. August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March. So two questions are there, value of RFA and gross salary. Now, first thing is computation of RFA. Salary for computation of RFA you have to remember. See, DA is not here in the question. And so we are calculating salary for computation of RFA is only basic salary and leave encashment. Leave encashment you have to remember, fully taxable while encashed in service. Leave encashment, you know the adjustment. If it's government employee, leave encashment at the time of retirement will be exempted. Government or private employees, if they encash leave during the service period, it will be completely taxable. So here in the calculation of RFA also we will include leave encashment. Now substituting the values in the equation, 1,12,000 monthly salary into 12 months plus 60,000. So salary for computation of RFA is 15 lakhs. Now 10% is because he is coming in City B. So 10% of the population, 10% of the salary will be the value of RFA. So 15 lakhs into 10 by 100, it's 1,50,000. Now this is for full year. I told you he got only for 8 months. So July 1st and salary is due on 1st of next month. So he is getting RFA from August 1st to March 1st. So we are reducing it to 8 months. So he is getting RFA of 1 lakh. Now this is the RFA calculation. Now question for gross salary also they have asked. So basic salary you have included 1,20,000 into 12, 14,40,000. Leave encashment we have to include fully taxable while in service. RFA we got the value 1 lakh. Gross salary A plus B plus C, it's 16 lakhs. Coming to the third problem, this I divided into 5 headings, 5 subheadings with 5 different adjustments. First is A has furnished the following particulars. Salary 1 lakh per month. Dearness allowance 5,000 per month under the terms of employment. That means it's entering into retirement benefits. Now entertainment allowance 6,000 per month. Now bonus 84,000. Cost of furnishing 2 lakhs. Now calculate the value of RFA if. First question. This information will be same for all the 5 sub-questions. Now first question is, Mr. A is a government employee. Read the question carefully while doing RFA, whether he is a government employee or a non-government employee. Second point is whether the house is owned by the employer or not owned by the employer. Third is population of the city. Then furnished or unfurnished. Then whether he is getting for full year or not. These are the informations you have to see that when you are reading the RFA question. So government employee. So license fee fixed by the government is 30,000 per month. Compute the taxable value of RFA. So all the information given in the previous slide is of no relevance for computation of this value. That is government employee, license fee only we will take. So Mr. A is a government employee. Therefore license fee fixed by the government is the base for valuation. 30,000 per month, 30,000 into 12, 3,60,000. Cost of furnishing, it's given in the question 2 lakhs. So the value is 20,000. So the value of rent-free house is 3,60,000 plus 20,000, it's 3,80,000. Now sub-question B, same information, we are changing the question. Mr. A is working in semi-government organization. See, I told you government employee meaning there is only state government and central government. There is no semi-government. So we have to go for the population of the city. At Chennai, population of the city is more than 25 lakhs. So that meaning more than 25 lakhs, he will come in city A. And it is 15% of salary will be the base for computation. And fair rental value of the house is 10,000 per month. We will not consider fair rental value, that is for the government employees. Compute the taxable value of RFA. Here the question is only RFA and not gross salary. Read the question carefully. What is asked in the question? You have to answer accordingly. If gross salary is also asked, you have to compute the gross salary also. Here the question is only RFA, rent-free accommodation. Now you have to calculate. First thing is we have to calculate the salary for the computation of RFA. You remember the long list I told you? RFA if there is in the question, this should be the last component you have to calculate because all the taxable items for salary will be included in RFA salary computation. So salary 12 months you are taking 12 lakhs. Then DA 5,000 into 12, 60,000 and earned leave, entertainment allowance. Entertainment allowance we are going to do as the next module. Remember that there is exemption only possible for government employees. In the private sector we will not get exemption. So it will be fully taxable. I am going to explain in the next slide. Next module I am going to explain that entertainment allowance. So then bonus also 84,000. So salary for the computation of RFA is 14,16,000. Please remember this value. For our all other sub questions also we are not doing this computation. We are not repeating this computation. Salary for computation of RFA based on the first information is 14,16,000. Now computation of RFA. See I told you population of the city is about 25 lakhs. So he will come in city A. So 15% of salary. 14,16,000 salary we already computed into 15 by 100, 2,12,400. Now it's a furnished accommodation. So 10% of cost of furnishing you have to add. 2 lakh into 10 by 100, it's 20,000. Now value of RFA will be 2,12,400 plus 20,000, 2,32,400. So we have completed the computation. Only RFA is asked. We are not calculating gross salary. Now sub-questions say A is working in private sector. Here it is given as private sector directly. So government or non-government. He will come in the non-government sector. At Hyderabad, population below 10 lakhs. Below 10 lakhs meaning he will come in city C. That is 7.5% of the value. And fair rental value of the house hired by the employer is 30,000. Remember, house is not owned by the employer. It's hired by the employer. So the table 3. The third column in the table will be the valuation. C is also provided with hired refrigerator and the higher charges of 6,000 per month are paid by the employer. Compute the value of taxable RFA. You have to remember gross salary is not asked. We are doing only RFA computation. Please remember you are always adding cost of furnishing 10%. That is standard. Plus when I explained the theory I told you if employer is hiring anything for the employee and higher charges are paid by the employer. it has to be added to the RFA computation. So this adjustment also we are doing. Now, see, accommodation is hired by the employer. Please remember that. Then the table 3, last column. So that is same for, we will not see the population of the city. It is same for all the classifications, whether it is city A, city B or city C. So it is 15% of the salary or rent paid by the employer, whichever is less. See, 14,16,000 is your salary for computation of RFA. 15% of that is 2,12,400. Rent paid by the employer, 30,000 into 12, 3,60,000. So compare 2,12,400 or 3,60,000. Lower value is 2,12,400. So that is the value of RFA. Now you know that you have to add 10% of cost of furnishing. So you added 10 by 100 into 2,20,000. Now taxable value of RFA will be 2,12,400 plus 20,000, 2,32,400. Now add hiring charges of refrigerator. It's paid by the employer, so it will be added to RFA. 6,000 he is paying, 6,000 into 12, 72,000. So taxable RFA is 2,32,400 plus 72,000. Total is 3,04,400. Now coming to sub-question D. Mr. A is working in private sector at Delhi. So here it is given private sector. So government and non-government. There is no semi-government. So population of the city is about 25 lakhs as per 2011 census. So population of the city you have to consider. Now fair rental value of the house not owned by the employer. Not owned by the employer meaning population has no relevance in the computation. We will go by the column 3, table 3, that is 15% of salary or rent paid by the employee, whichever is less. So this 30,000, house not owned by the employer and 30,000 is the rent. Compute the taxable value of RFA. It's not gross salary, it is the RFA computation. So this value we have already calculated. Value of RFA we have calculated in the previous problem. So the previous problem 2,12,400 we have calculated. See the explanation, house is taken on rent by the employer. So the taxable value of RFA will be 15% of salary or actual rent paid by the employer, whichever is less, irrespective of the population of the city. Population of the city we will consider in computation when the house is owned by the employer. When the house is taken on lease or hired by the employer, column number 3 will be the calculation. That's same for all the categories. So this we have already 2,12,400 we calculated. You are adding 10% of cost of furnishing, 20,000. So taxable value of RFA is 2,32,400. Now coming to the next one. Mr. A is working in private sector at Delhi, population about 25 lakhs. Rental value of the house not owned by the employer. So column number 3 is your calculation. We will not see the population. Employer is 30,000 per month. Employer is deducting 10,000 from Mr. A's salary for rental accommodation provided by the employer. So this is not RFA, it is concessional rental accommodation. Compute the value of taxable concessional rental accommodation. Why it is concessional rental accommodation is, reason is, he is getting rent-free accommodation, but the employer is charging certain amount. In this case, 10,000 from the employee's salary. So he is getting a concessional rental accommodation, not fully free rental accommodation. Earlier cases, full free rental accommodation they are getting. Employee is paying nothing. The house is provided by the employer. So that is, here it is, a part payment is made by the employee. Then it will become concessional rental accommodation. Now, table showing the computation of taxable concessional rental accommodation of Mr. A for the assessment year 2021. RFA we have calculated in the previous question. 2,12,400 we got. 15% of salary because it's hired by the employer. House is hired by the employer. 15% of salary or actual rent paid by the employer, whichever is less. We got this value 2,12,400. Now here you have to reduce the rent paid by the employee. It's 10,000 he is charging. So it is 1,20,000. So it's a positive value, that meaning RFA value. See 2,12,400 minus 1,20,000. We will get the value of RFA as 92,000. Concessional rental accommodation is 92,400. So this is a positive value. So there is a value for concessional rental accommodation. As usual, it's furnished accommodation, meaning you have to add 10% of cost of furnishing. So 2 lakh into 10 by 100, 20,000. value of taxable value of CRA is 92,400 plus 20,000, 1,12,400. Please remember, see this is, see here you have to remember 2,12,400 is the value of RFA we calculated. Here the employee is paying 10,000. Imagine the employee is paying 20,000. So 20,000 into 12 meaning 2,40,000 you will get. So it will be negative value. 2,12,400 minus 2,40,000 will be negative value. That meaning there is no concessional rental accommodation for the employee. Only if it's a positive value we will take. That is also very, very important. You have to remember. So I hope that this concept and this module is clear to you. The computation, and it's very, very important. You have to remember that this is an important component for computation of salary income. You will get that either CRA or RFA in the full salary computation, or theory questions are also important because you have to remember so many points. I told you whether he's a government employee or non-government employee, you have to remember. Then population in the city is important. House owned by the employer or not owned by the employer. Then whether RFA he is getting for the full month. Then leave encashment if it is there. Whether leave encashment is at the same time, whether he got the RFA accommodation also. So these points are very important in the computation, and please do the problems, read the questions carefully. Then only you will get the adjustments. So now if you know these concepts clearly, you cannot make mistake. So I am wishing you all the success in learning this module, and let it be a beneficial exercise for the students and teachers, whoever follow in this video. Please feel free to give me the feedback, and I'll be happy to hear the video feedback, because I can improve myself. Whatever your expectations. If you want to communicate, you can tell me that. Thank you for listening.